What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to talk about hand cannons and a bunch of weapons which may be worth trying out with the upcoming Season 22 hand cannon buffs. And so we'll cover a few weapons today which are worth considering. Of course, there may be some which we miss, so let us know any favourites you have down below as well. But importantly in Season 22, in terms of PvE, Bungie have said that they're increasing damage against minor enemies by 20%. And so that change in itself is positive, but damage will also be increased against major orange bar enemies by 75%. And so it's safe to say, hand cannons are going to see a fairly significant performance bump inside of PvE content. Plus Bungie are making some extra adjustments to hand cannons and archetypes in the new season, and introducing some new weapons. So there are a bunch of different things worth thinking about. One of the first things worth mentioning right here is that Bungie are creating a new archetype, which is the Heavy Burst hand cannon. And so they've changed the Warden's Law hand cannon to be the first member of a new subfamily, and the Heavy Burst hand cannon will fire a 2-round burst, where Bungie say they've utilized the damage profile that aggressive frame hand cannons had years back, dealing up to 90 damage per burst against players. And so it should do 25 damage per body shot and 45 per crit. But of course it will also be an interesting archetype inside of PvE content. At the moment, of course, Warden's Law hasn't been updated for some time, but for Season 22 it will become a Nightfall weapon. And while we can't preview what the bonuses for the hand cannon will be just yet, presumably with it dropping in Nightfalls, there'll be some pretty good PvE options there as well. So when Season 22 launches, in the meantime, while we wait for it to become available in Nightfalls, if you have the original version of the Warden's Law, you can always take it for a spin and see what the archetype is performing like. But otherwise, I'll be sure to keep you posted on potential roles once we get access to that hand cannon. And with the upcoming changes to hand cannons, of course hunters with lucky pants could be able to have quite a bit of fun right there. And with that exotic, when you ready a fully loaded hand cannon that deals kinetic damage or a damage type that matches your subclass energy, each hit from the hand cannon increases the damage of the next shot for a short duration. So one interesting option would be something like the 7th Seraph Officer Revolver, and this drops in the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. It's a precision frame hand cannon, and we've got a roll right here with Reconstruction, where the weapon slowly reloads itself over time, up to double the capacity, and Vorpal Weapon, which increases damage against bosses, vehicles, and guardians with their super active. So paired with the damage buffs in Season 22, and exotics like Lucky Pants, as you can see right here, the hand cannon's able to put out some pretty serious damage, and we can see up to 31,000 damage per shot on this thing right here. Especially when you take advantage of bonuses like Whisper of Rending if you're running a stasis subclass, where primary ammo weapons do increase damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. Plus if you're using a kinetic weapon, keep in mind that we have mods like Kinetic Weapon Surges, and when armor charged, kinetic weapons gain a small bonus to damage. So some of these hand cannons, when used with the right setups, can actually be pretty potent in higher level endgame content. Another good weapon here to mention very briefly, but there are also hand cannons like the Round Robin, and this is an aggressive frame hand cannon. Comes with strand damage, and it's one of the ones that we can earn on Neomuna and Lightfall. But one of the interesting things about this is that it can roll Hatchling, and precision final blows or rapidly defeating targets with a non-precision weapon spawns a Threadling at the target's location. Something interesting to keep in mind with this or any other weapons with that bonus though, is that Bungie have said in Season 22 they're implementing a sizable increase in Threadling damage against PvE targets, so presumably that'll also affect the Threadling damage from Hatchling. So it's another weapon that if you have that roll on it, might be worth keeping hold of and taking for a spin at the launch of Season 22, as this is one of those weapons that could be benefiting from multiple damage boosts at the same time. And of course the same can be said for any other strand weapons that also have Hatchling. Another solid hand cannon with some good PvE rolls though would include things like Zauli's Bane, which drops from King's Fall. And this can get damage bonuses like Focused Fury, where if you deal half the magazine as precision damage, it grants the weapon bonus damage for an improved duration. And that's looking at the enhanced version of that perk right here. And with weapons like this, you can take advantage of subclass bonuses like Radiant, and while Radiant, your weapons can do increased damage to combatants, as well as piercing shields of barrier champions. So you can pair weapons like Zauli's Bane with fragments like Ember of Torches, where powered melee attacks against combatants make you and nearby allies radiant, but also Acrobat's Dodge, where of course you can dodge to become radiant, and then take advantage of the bonus damage as well as the shield piercing capabilities. And of course Zauli's Bane can also potentially roll things like Incandescent, and that scorch damage should also benefit from the hand cannon buffs that are coming in Season 22, so that's something else to keep in mind. Another option would be something like the Apocal Integration, which is the hand cannon we can earn from the Parting the Veil quest this season. And that has traits of Keep Away and Stats for All in the first trait slot, with Eye of the Storm and Incandescent in the second trait slot. So incandescent hand cannons in general on solar subclasses are certainly going to be worth playing around with the buffs we're seeing next season. Another good shout though would be the hand cannon targeted redaction, and this is an aggressive frame void hand cannon released this season. That can take advantage of perks like Collective Action, where collecting elemental pickups or throwing a strand tangle grants a period of increased damage. Of course, it could also get destabilizing rounds, and those void explosions should once again benefit from the damage increases we're seeing with the buffs in Season 22. But also with void weapons, you of course would have the option to run things like Garfalcon's Hauberk on a hunter, which additionally allows us to further take advantage of fragments like Echo of Cessation, which is a void fragment of course, and defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. And Stylish Executioner, where defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. So there are plenty of ways that you can integrate these weapons into certain subclass possibilities, and these are things that are only going to get more powerful with the launch of Season 22. To talk exotic weapons though, of course Malfeasance is a really strong exotic, especially paired with Lucky Pants on a hunter, but it has Explosive Shadow, which combusts combatants with explosive slugs. That's also strong against unstoppable champions, and assuming that the buffs coming in Season 22 affect the damage of Malfeasance, as we've seen previously where the thing can be incredibly strong, it's likely that we'll be able to do even more with this thing. Plus other exotic things to think about include Thorn, and as we spoke about recently, taking advantage of Soul Devourer, but also fragments once again like Whisper of Rending on a stasis subclass. Primary ammo weapons can do increased damage. So we can freeze targets with stasis grenades or the Bleak Watcher turret, and then take advantage of kinetic weapon surges and the Soul Devourer bonus to get some pretty huge increases to poison damage. So I'll link a video specifically about Thorn down below. It's definitely another one that will be even better with the Season 22 buffs. Of course, other honourable mentions for hand cannons though include things like Sunshot, and that has explosive rounds, but also allows targets killed with a weapon to explode in solar energy. And we have hand cannons like Crimson, where of course we get the benefit of health regen on kills, as well as Ace of Spades, which of course has Firefly built in. So a bunch of those exotics are also going to be worth messing around with. So those are some of the hand cannons I wanted to talk about in this video, guys. But whether you've got juicy rolls on the Ostringer, Nation of Beasts, Round Robin from Lightfall, Fatebringer and so on, not only will the hand cannons perform better in general content, but there is that little bit of potential that they're going to be much more viable for some of the harder content in the game, especially when using them in specific builds and kind of thinking about how you can integrate them with subclasses and some of the other mods in the game. So more than anything, I wanted to kind of spark that conversation with the video today. Let us know which hand cannons you're looking forward to trying out. Also, a big thanks to my pal Duddits for helping us out with some of the footage in this video. You can check out his channel linked below for some epic build content. And if you want to get subscribed to the channel, I will keep you posted with more of the changes coming in Season 22. But otherwise, as always, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.